Welcome, everybody. I don't know if I'm ever ready whenever he says that after watching whatever surprise he's got for me for an intro. But I am Brad Towns. This is Talk Around Towns, and I don't have Jayme this week because he's on the road traveling. But instead, we've got the wonderful Joseph Duarte sitting in. Joseph, welcome, and thank you for joining.
Well, thanks for having me. That's a great name for the show, Talk Around Towns. That's solid. I mean, I would listen to that podcast.
Even better, you get to see yourself on it now.
Get to be on it.
Yeah,
but I'm glad Dad set you up with a nice intro. Is he stepbrother? Because he's kind of weird like that. So he could be a stepbrother, or is he Dad?
I don't know. I don't know if I claim him anyway. I mean, that's just too much. I'm not going to give him that much credit, but he did come up with the name, and he does the intros. He likes to try to surprise me as much as possible.
Moments. He's got his moments.
So as much as everybody hates him, we still like him a little bit. You can't help but. So is your U of H season over with? Is the beat drying up now that baseball's coming to an end?
No, you still got a couple of things. I mean, it's from January to December these days. Portal is settled down with basketball. Women are still doing some stuff. So between that, baseball's in its final 2.5 weeks maybe, and then you have track going to Big 12 outdoor, and then they'll go to regionals and then nationals. So track kind of wraps things up. So when you get to track, that's the early part of June. That's when you can sort of break away and minus the breaking news type stuff or the every now and then coaching change that you'll have to deal with. Summer should start to settle down, around the second week of June, and then you get a month before we all get together for Big 12 Media Days.
When is the Big 12 Media Days?
That's second week of July. Okay. It'll be at the Star in Frisco. I think it's like July 8th or 9th, 7th and 8th, somewhere around there. So we're not too terribly far away, but enough to catch a breather.
They had it at the Star last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they went to Vegas, which was great a couple of years ago.
Right.
And it was kind of like, well, I think they figured out not many media is going to go, and it's sort of, what's the tie-in there? So it's been in Frisco the last couple of years. They typically will either do it at AT&T in Arlington,
right?
But given that it's sort of hosting a big event, they'll do it in Frisco.
Yeah, they've got something going on there. I think a lot of people are paying attention to it, apparently.
At the World Cup. So I'm not sure if they'll move back there. They sort of like the intimate arena or stadium. It's really a cool setup in Frisco. Right. But, it attracts a lot of people. So that's kind of those conference media days. That's sort of the unofficial kickoff to the start of the season. And that's when you start to get your preview stuff going for the end of August when the games start.
Right. Yeah. I went with Ryan on the first one out at AT&T, mm-hmm. And for me that was cool because that's the first time I'd ever been to anything like that. But that place was just massive. I don't know. Whenever I heard it was going to the Star, it's like Frisco makes perfect sense because it's more of everything's together.
Yeah, and they sort of put the they used the entire field. I mean, you have the stage on one end, and then you have Radio Row, and then a lot of other places set up that they do interviews, and they have games for the players. So, but yeah, when they got to the Star, very, very, I think it holds, I don't know, maybe 7,000, 8,000.
Right.
And you can sort of, you can move around that one a lot easier, and there's not as much ground to cover. So, yeah, I think you'll see that. The Big 12 used to move it around. One year, my first year on the Longhorn beat in 2005, they actually had it in Houston. So,
really?
I mean, it's moved around. It was at the JW Marriott in the Galleria. So, I think they like it in Dallas just because of the tie-in there. But, maybe get away from these arenas, these huge places, because they even had it I believe, the year in Vegas, it was at Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders.
Really?
So yeah, that place was. I mean, it's another NFL football stadium, so it was a big place to hold that event.
Yeah, it seems like everybody wants to push everything to Vegas with the Big 12, and I get it from the Western teams, but the entire conference is pretty centrally located.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that you've included you know, you added BYU, and then you had the two Arizona schools in Utah. But it seems like it's a better fit for Mountain West for the new Pac-12. Maybe I
Right.
just don't see them doing too much there in the future. So Kansas City, there's a reason that the basketball tournaments there, and they do their basketball media days in Kansas City. So I could see it staying football wise sort of central, and Dallas seems like a pretty good spot just because it's easy to get in and out of.
Yeah. Um, Everybody, get your questions in for Joseph. Anything you want to ask within reason, not too bad. But go ahead and put those in the chat, and we'll get to those in just a bit. First, I want to thank our sponsors, Section 12X. You need some gear for the summer. Go load up. Buy him out of everything because got a lot of really good stuff coming in the fall as well. But you got to get geared up for golf, cookouts. No better way than Section 12X. Star Pizza, thank you again for being here. Everybody, I love me some Star Pizza. As you saw me sitting on my turkey, I'm not going to look like that forever. Not that I really look like that. And also the Ritz. Thank you guys for sponsoring us. You guys want to head down there? Speaking of World Cup, I think I'm going to take in some World Cup action down there. I'm really looking forward to the World Cup this year. Have you ever been to the World Cup, whenever it's here in the U.S.?
No, but one of my first assignments at the Chronicle, this would have been back in like 1996. They sent me to Vancouver for a U.S. versus Canada, like a friendly. It was like a before a qualifier.
Right.
We covered everything. So I was in Vancouver for a couple of nights to cover the U.S. men's national team. Prior to, I guess the World Cup would have been sometime later that year.
Right.
But that's the closest that I've ever come. There's events that I'd like to cover. I've done part of an Olympics. I did the 96 Olympics in Atlanta. But I'd like to do a World Cup. I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't think I'm on the Chronicles coverage team, so probably miss out. But that would be at the top of the list. I'd like to go there. I'd like to maybe do Wimbledon before my career is over, just to maybe
That'd be
go and
cool.
watch it, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But no, never covered. Now I've covered some of the international games, especially when some of the teams from Mexico come in. It's
Right.
wild. I was at the U.S. Mexico the Gold Cup game last summer.
Right.
Oh man, just sitting in the stands, that's a wild experience. And the media side's a little different too. I always laugh when you see some of the international reporters that cover teams. They take these pictures with the athletes, which here in the States we just don't do. You just don't. And those pictures sometimes end up in the paper with the story.
Really?
So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of weird, especially down, like some of the Mexico newspapers, they'll do that. It's just kind of wild to see, it's just things that we wouldn't even think about doing here.
Mhm.
It's sort of part of what they do and how they cover the teams down there.
Yeah. I've always, when the World Cup came to Dallas, I guess it was just right out of school. I've never been a big soccer fan, but every World Cup that I've been alive, I made sure I watched, just because, it's just like the Olympics, a big international deal. So I'm going to watch it. And I've always loved it just because the fans are insane. And I didn't realize how insane they were until I was an adult and being able to go to West End in Dallas, because that was kind of the thing at the time. But being able to go out, like when Brazil came or the Netherlands came, and just tens of thousands of people all over the city walking everywhere. It was insane. I'm hoping you get the same vibe here in Houston this year.
Well, I did a brief stint in the Chronicles office where I worked the desk and read stories and had to pull the photos. And around the World Cup, get some pretty interesting photos, if you know what I mean.
I
Especially
bet you do.
some of the female fans, and we would make these galleries of World Cup fans and stuff. So you always knew to slide in a couple of those photos so that you get some extra clicks.
Yeah.
So the World Cup brings out it's just cool because you see you don't even have to go to the games down here in Houston where they're going to have the watch parties. It's going to be insane just because if you can't afford to go to the games, the next best thing to do is go to a bar or one of these outdoor parties, and to see the different countries represented by people that even just live here in Houston, that have ties to the countries. It's a cool experience.
And here in Houston, there's a lot of them from all over the world. It's going to be. I'm looking for. I guess Portugal comes twice. They're going to be playing here twice. I'm looking forward to seeing the talent that they bring.
Yeah,
and not on the.
I don't know who's all coming, but yeah, they're. Yeah,
I don't care about the field.
I'm married. I have to watch what I say.
But your eyes still work. Eyes still work. So this week we hear about the new Big 12 private equity deal. What do you think? What's your initial thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's sort of groundbreaking. I mean, it's the first of its kind. We've heard whispers that this could be a way that it's kind of where maybe some of these conferences go. But if you read sort of what's coming out of this so far, I think you won't have very many Big 12 schools that are going to opt in.
Right.
I think right now I don't think Houston is going to opt in, and that might tell you a little bit of something. Just because if you look at budgets and who needs money the most, well, right. I mean Houston's right there. But I think for now, I think there's a time frame that you can that you need to do it within. I think it's maybe within a year, and the line of credit is $30 million. There's other revenue streams that are coming down the pipe for Houston, so maybe it's kind of a wait and see. In a couple of weeks now, they're going to be full share payments that are going to come in. So this next announcement where the Big 12 announces the revenue for this past year, Houston's going to get its biggest chunk of change that they've ever gotten. So that'll be an infusion of cash. But yeah, I'm sort of part of the group that's kind of waiting to see how this shakes out. The Big 12 is going to get, I think it's $12.5 million that they get from the equity firms, and it's not, they're not selling parts of anything. It's just it's a partnership where we'll see. But for now, I would be really surprised if Houston opts in at the beginning.
And that's good to hear. That's my biggest concern, because it's hard. The first thing I see is the $30 million from private equity group, and first question is that even legal for a public institution to be able to take private equity money? But even going past that, say it's not a problem. That's just more debt that they're going to take. They're going to take out of your distribution every year.
Yeah, Houston's already paying the piper in a lot of areas, and they're trying to sort of knock down the institutional support and start paying some of that back. So they're literally having right now to pay themselves back. I don't know how much they want to end up having to pay someone else back on top of it. But I've seen UCF, the Orlando Sentinel, report that they're not going to opt in. Utah did a little something on their own before this. People are asking, like at BYU, with the church behind it, do they even entertain that? So I've seen anywhere from reports that as few as 2 schools could opt in. I think what you'll see is schools get behind it, kind of walk the company line. Hey, we think this is a great, but maybe not necessarily do anything at the beginning. And I think that's smart. I mean, I think you maybe see where this is going, and if you really need it, and then you kind of go from there.
Yeah, it just seems. I mean, it really just seems like, okay, we've maxed out our credit cards. Hey, why don't we get a payday loan?
Yeah.
You know, it makes no. It really does make no sense. I understand why or what Utah did, because it's. I mean, they actually gave up a piece of. I guess they formed a new company that's
Mm-hmm.
going to do all the revenue and marketing and everything. So their private equity is going to have a piece of that, which I didn't. I don't want any. I don't want to be involved with any of it. That's just way too much, because once they get their hooks in you, it's over. They're going to bleed you dry.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the things that are interesting to me in the deal, I don't. They're giving them $12.5 million, right? The
To the Big
conference
12.
itself.
Yes.
What is that going to be? I read that it's going to be for like different that they can invest in what various things. What
Yeah.
are they investing?
It seems like they can do things with it. Whether it goes towards marketing. I mean, just I don't know the full scope of it, Brad. And I think in a couple of weeks when we're at the spring meetings and they talk business, and we get an opportunity to sit down with Brett Yormark and some of the other officials there, we'll have a better idea. But I don't know quite exactly where that 12.5 goes, but it's not a they're given a piece of the conference, or the schools aren't giving away some, like for instance, nobody's getting 5% of Kelvin Sampson's program or anything like that. Although it's probably worth a lot more than what they would be offering.
Right.
But yeah, so it's going to the conference, and I think there's some areas that they've talked about using it, but I don't know if I would be guessing if I told you exactly how they would spend that money.
Right. The thing that's interesting to me is, they were talking about being able to work different or expand on different revenue streams and try to find synergies with their portfolio companies. That becomes very interesting to me, because they do have their hands in a lot of pots out there. But the most interesting one is the fact that they own, I think, like 22% in CBS, and then the soon-to-be Paramount deal.
Really, are you talking about Redbird and
Yeah.
The Two Capital? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we said, this is something that has never been done. I'm a little surprised, maybe that I mean, there had been talk of it. I'm a little surprised that the deal ended up getting pulled. But I mean, the trigger was pulled on it. But this is Yormark. Yormark came in sort of with that. We're going to take a different approach to things. We're going to do things a little different. Some of it's been hokey. Some of the things that they've done, some of the marketing rollouts, and having certain artists play halftime shows and stuff. But I mean, this is their boldest move yet, in terms of sort of trying to be a game changer, trying to maybe set up schools in a better situation. But again, what my interest would be, what does the school get out of it if you don't opt in? I mean, you
Right.
just going to be a participant, but you're really not one. You're just, the conference is. I mean, and it's, I think it was at a 10% interest rate, I think is what the loan would be at. It's like up to 30 million at 10%. So
Jeez.
I think you hit it earlier that, if I'm paying the bill, or if I have to pay, I'd rather pay myself back.
Yeah.
And find, because let's talk about this. I mean, in the next couple of months, Houston will probably announce deals for the commercial sponsorship patches that you can put on jerseys. That's coming up.
Okay,
They're gonna name they're gonna have the TDCU Stadium turf. We'll get some type of sponsorship on that one, the court at Fertitta. So those are going to be additional revenues coming in. I've been told that the patches could generate, depending on there's the plan, that you could either do football only, basketball only, and then you could lump in like the Olympic sports. You could do all 17 sports together. You could have one separately for women's sports, and then somebody does football. in basketball, and you figure out the rest. So there's a lot of combinations. That's going to add up. You could get maybe 2 million possibly for football, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more for basketball. So you've got that there, and then you have the turf and the court. So maybe you see where you are revenue wise before you dive into looking at other potential sources of the loan, or for instance.
Absolutely.
So you got that coming in. They were you've got to account for the rev share, so that's a consideration. You're still working with NIL. So I mean, the money that comes in, it's some of it I believe is already spoken for. A lot of it's probably spoken for.
Oh, I bet.
But you do have some revenue that you didn't have on the books up until now. That's going to start as early as this fall when football starts.
And I would assume that with some of those, especially the larger type deals, they've got some kind of NIL component. Do you think?
Well, for instance, like Arkansas, they did their deal with Tyson, and I think it was like up to, I don't know if it was 90, so don't quote me on this, but there's a large percentage of that money from that deal from the patches that was going back into NIL. Now I talked to Eddie Nunez a few months ago, and he mentioned a lot of those are set up like that, or they will. So there's going to be some type of component where some of that money, maybe not all of it, but some of it is going to go into the NIL coffers, and you're able to do something. So,
it's going to go above rev share, right?
Yeah. But that's in addition to, because right now rev share is at 20.5 million. I think when you figure out how things work, and I think they had to account for some scholarship stuff, you probably aren't necessarily, it's all 20.5 million, but it's probably closer to 17 or 18 million. But yeah, you're accounting for a lot of different things now, and some of it is done in-house. Like basketball has, they work with Lincoln Cougs, and they handle their NIL and their roster budget and management. I think the basketball budget is probably going to be around 10 to 12 million this year.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at where all the top tier programs are, and 10 million is sort of a baseline for the really good teams. Now, I mean, it goes upward. I mean, we heard about Kentucky last year, what people thought where they were. They were closer to 20. I don't know if that's true, but I know
Louisville's got to be insane this year.
Yeah, Louisville. So, and you look at some of the other names, the teams that you'd expect that are in there, but I think Houston is in that 10 to 12. And think about it. They were just coming off of a year that they had 2 projected lottery picks. So, I mean, their budget this past year was probably close to that 10 million neighborhood, maybe a little bit under, but it's certainly in a spot where they're competitive with some of these other schools, or actually probably at most times doing more with less than some of these other schools. I mean, think about it. I mean, Kelvin's not going to get into bidding wars, and he's not going to. There's the players that they target. The conversation comes up, but they're not going to. Houston's not going to be held hostage. Kelvin's not going to be held by a demand for certain amounts. So it's within reason. It's within budget. Same thing with Willie. They did a lot in the portal last year, and it was sort of bargain shopping, but they got great players out of it who probably earned every cent. You look at the Tanner Koziels and the Connor Wegman. So I think in Houston's case, they've been really smart and how they spend that money, because it's not an unlimited war chest like some of these schools. But as they move on, and we've heard Kelvin say, you got to keep upping the number, and I think Houston has sort of found that spot for this coming year in basketball where you got to be competitive.
Right. That's the one thing. The one thing that one issue I've always had is that I know we're always short of money, and that's the way it's always going to be. And it's the way it's always been, the way it's always going to be. It's refreshing to see with Kelvin and Willie that they're showing what the true problem has been. It's not just about the money. it's about spending your money very, very wisely. Whenever you don't have the extra funds, you can't afford your room for error is much smaller, and you can't afford big mistakes on a small budget. And
Right.
we've got a strong history of making really, really costly mistakes, and then saying, well, we can't afford to do this. It's like, well, yeah, you can afford to be successful. You can't afford to miss on everything. And if you gave you more money, you would just make bigger mistakes.
Yeah. Two things on that I think that play into the favor. You look at both of their ages, and that's not a bad thing because it's experience. And you hear stories from both, and you would think that you would know which one's telling the story because we've heard from Kelvin about the days at Montana Tech where he was driving the bus everywhere on these long trips, and they barely had any heaters and the food that they had. And the same thing with Willie, the blend stories and how he started off. So they know where they've been and sort of what they didn't have.
Yeah.
So sort of when you get into these situations, and for Willie, it was 30 something years before he got a power 4 job. And then you look at Kelvin, how he's made his career and the progression. They sort of know what it's like not to have anything. And I think nowadays you have some coaches that are in situations where all they've known, whether it's an assistant or when they get their first head coaching job, is places that they've been have had resources. So maybe you don't know how the other side lives. And with these two coaches, along with all the wins and the success, they sort of know what they have to do and what sometimes living within your means at times, or doing more with less. And
Yep.
I think that goes a long way because that's stuff that you only know how to deal with because you've been in that situation.
Right. How long have you been on the beat at U of H now?
Since 2012. So what? We're going on 15 years.
God dang.
Yeah, it's
Are
been a
you
long time.
are you the longest tenure so far?
No.
Wizig-
Wizig, yeah, Wizig was. I think I'm second longest now. I can't speak for the Houston Post, but
Right.
I know Wizig. But I think, let's see, I've been through 4 athletic directors. I've been through 1 baseball coach.
Right.
I have been through, let's see, Levine, Herman, Major, Dana, Willie. So 5 football coaches. I've been through 3 women's basketball coaches,
Right.
2 softball coaches, and 2 swimming coaches, and probably 3 or 4 soccer maybe, and 2 volleyball. So yeah, I mean there's been some turnover, but yeah, and let's see, 3 conferences.
Yeah.
So I got the tail end of CUSA, then the American, then the Big 12. So,
And were you
and what is
You
it?
were-
And a partridge and a pear tree.
exactly? Where were you whenever the Southwest Conference broke up?
I was a senior at the University of Texas. Well, technically, it started to break up in '91 when Arkansas left. So I was a
Right.
senior in high school, and
Right.
then I went to Blinn briefly,
Right.
and then I went to Texas. So my last undergrad year was Southwest Conference, and I did a half year when the first year of the Big 12 before I joined the Chronicle. So I sort of was at the tail end of the Southwest Conference Big 12 transition.
Yeah, that was
That was wild. Yeah, it was fun because one minute you got all these, the rivalries and the Texas schools playing it. And all of a sudden you got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Kansas State. It was just the Big 8, But and then I was around briefly for when Houston was, I think, a member of the Big East for like a couple of hours.
Yeah, that was a fun couple of hours.
Yeah, and then
With our Times Square pictures.
what's that?
With our Times Square pictures.
Yeah, I remember that. Sam Com was on the beat, but I
Yeah,
kind of
that's right.
did a little bit on that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a wild 15 years, and it's the longest I've been on any beat since I've been at the paper. I did
Right.
the Astros for 5, the Texans for 3, and I did the Longhorns for 5, and then I had a wild stretch of I covered Rice for like 2 years by itself, and then I covered Rice and Houston
Right. Yeah, I remember
a
that.
year. And that was weird because when the Bayou Bucket would roll around, I thought about having some fun one night. I was at home and I did a video. I got to find this video. And I interviewed myself. I was like, okay, we have our guest, Rice beat writer, Joseph Duarte. And here I am, the Houston beat writer, Joseph Duarte, asking questions. So I wore a blue shirt for Rice reporter Joseph, and I did a red shirt for U of H reporter, and I went back and forth talking about the game. And I actually had 2 Twitter accounts going at the same time when I covered both schools because I knew Houston people didn't want to read Rice stuff, and well, there weren't enough Rice people to read.
Well, they were already complaining about you enough back then.
Yeah. So I was just the T-sip who moved to town and was trying to work in my Longhorn updates whenever I could. But
did you take over for, was it Steve Campbell or was it Michael Murphy at the time?
Who was before Cougars?
You?
That was Sam. That was Sam Kahn.
Okay, Sam was there.
Yeah, it was Campbell and then Sam Kahn. Campbell was with the Sumlin years, and then Sam covered the last maybe year and a half of Sumlin, and then I jumped in with Tony.
I know you always enjoy, most of the time you enjoy your job. Is it now getting fun? Is this like kind of?
I love the U of H beat. I mean, I tell people, I married a Cougar, so if that doesn't show you my loyalty to the school, but no, I mean, think about it. The Big 12, that's something that had been waited on for 30 years. I got to be a part of that. I mean, I remember the stroke of midnight, that July 1st, 2023, when it finally happened. I remember that previous September when they announced it, and the big hoopla around that. To be able to be the reporter that got to cover that stuff, the meetings, the 2016 near misses, where it was kind of a pony show where they strung along all the schools that made the presentations. They're like, oh, we're not gonna do it this time, and then the disappointment there, but finally getting in a few years later. Those are milestones that when you go back through the history of Houston one day, you were part of it. The H-Town takeover, the Peach Bowl year, fantastic stories that year. And you look at some of the, the other stuff, the Final Fours with basketball. I mean, if you weren't around for Phi Slamma Jamma, this is your version of it. And man, I was sitting press row in San Antonio 2 years ago, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got a chance here to write a national championship story for Houston. It's right there. It's right there. But you're thinking about those moments in your career. I didn't cover any World Series with the Astros. All I covered were playoff heartbreak and early exits. And I did get the Randy Johnson year, so that was kind of fun. Texans were just starting when I was on that beat. They were literally an infant in the NFL. So not a lot there. So a lot of what I've been able to do, I've never went to the College World Series when I covered Rice. Their streak ended like 2 years before I got on the beat. So when I think about career milestones and accomplishments, Houston, has been it, and it's been fun. I mean, I literally get up every day and I like covering the Cougars because I can honestly say there's never a dull moment. I mean, I've got stuff to keep me busy all the time, and unfortunately, it's not all good.
Right.
But that's also what you sign up for. You got to cover the good and the bad. But I'd say 75% of it's been pretty good.
Right. I mean, and I guess there's some fun within the chaos whenever everything is struggling when we've had those years back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, in readership, I've learned that like 3 things drive traffic. Anytime they change uniforms or jerseys or helmets, that does big traffic. Coaching firings, that drives traffic. And then if it's a really good team, people want more. I remember sitting in the parking lot of the Alumni Center what was it? It had been 2023 when Dana got fired. They had played at UCF the day before. I took a late flight out just so I could get back in time. And around 6:30 a.m., I drive to the Alumni Center because I'm like, okay, Dana's probably going to show up at the office and they're gonna do it there. I had been told that they were meeting that morning. They were going to fire him. So here I am staking out the parking lot, and Dana actually typical Dana. I think he overslept or never showed up. But
rolled up at
yeah,
like 30.
Yeah. We had the story, but things like that. I was there when Tom Herman walked out of the building for the last time when he told the team he was going to Austin. So
Right.
I mean, there's all the little things that fans and readers will never really get to know that we were doing behind the scenes. But but like I said, Houston, I'll say this, for whatever people think I think of Houston, they're never dull. There's always something going on, and it keeps him busy. So I just wish that I could have a week or two, in the summer where nothing's going on. And the biggest worry you have as a journalist is that the world's going to end, or there's going to be some type of breaking news that you didn't see coming, and it's when you're on a beach somewhere and you got no cell signal.
Well, at least today, in today's world, you're connected.
Yeah, social media will keep me up. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, you're connected. You got a phone or you got Wi-Fi. You can find it pretty much anywhere these days.
I mean, there were days when I covered the Astros that you turned in your story, and outside of the 10 o'clock news, whatever was in the paper the next day, that's what people read. There was no internet where you were catching up with your ESPN app updates and stuff. So you'd open up the paper the next morning and you would see what you had versus what your competition had. There was really a true competition that went into the next day. Nowadays, you have a story, and within 10 minutes, maybe 5, somebody has the same story or can catch up. So the business has changed. So the cycle is really and it's a true 24-hour cycle now, as opposed to back in the day how things operated.
Well, and even when they had ESPN, the Sunday every morning they would run just reruns of the night before on their Sports Center.
Yeah.
So it's like
and you still had the wire service.
Yeah.
So
let's get some questions before we transition. Let's see. You heard it from me first. Nolan Cain will be the next Houston baseball head coach. Mac, I think you mentioned that last week, and I looked into it. Yeah, I think I would be fine with that.
I cannot confirm nor deny that name, but I will say this: there's history. Eddie was at LSU when Cain was a player. Yeah. But keep this in mind. I think Nolan has been at LSU. He's been at A&M, and he's been at Texas. He's currently at Texas. What do those schools all have in common? They have a lot of resources. Right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Nolan may have had some interest at one point in the New Mexico job when Eddie was there. So, really? I mean, you look at all that, the history there. My curiosity would be, as a guy who would come in as a first-time head coach, can you accept or deal with the resources that you're going to have at Houston, or is the school going to pony up and inject some money into that program that hasn't been there? So Nolan Cain is a legitimate name, and I'll be interested to see where that goes. But I think he's probably right now at Texas making about maybe a little bit more than what they're paying here at Houston for the head coach right now. I think Nolan's making probably around $400,000, if I'm not sure, but somewhere around that. So
holy shit, you're right, $400,000.
Yeah, he's a legit
insane
guy. Yeah.
Okay, $450,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing, when I looked at his background, and I remember him as a player, but when I looked at his background, I saw that he's been at Texas. Or he's at Texas. He was at A&M before that, and he's at LSU. He's known nothing but massive programs with near unlimited money, and all of them have pretty damn good history. If you were coming here, it's a big step down as far as resources goes. But then I think it's not about the money. It's about what you can do. And if Houston is going to be successful, they have to be able to pull some of the talent out of Houston. You don't have to get the best player, but you've got to be able to get guys that
Yes.
you can develop, and you've got to be able to develop them. I mean, it's one thing, like back in the day, we would have Ryan Wagner and Brad Sullivan. All of them were really, really good players, but they became elite players when they were here. They just got so much better. Here in this most recent administration, not a lot of guys have really improved, and that's been one of the biggest issues, is that you're getting guys, but you're not getting the most out of them. And then it turned into a revolving door even before the portal goes. But if he can energize and get a lot of coaches, summer league coaches, high school coaches, and then get the access to the players, there's no limit to what you can do. And you know what? If he wants to use us as a stepping stone, fine. I've never been one of those that, we need to hire one of our own because they're going to stay forever. It's like, I don't care. If they're going to if they're going to get a big job from here, that means they've done extremely well. And then we can hire the next one.
Yeah, but you don't want to, considering you haven't had to search for a head coach in 16 years, you don't want somebody though who's going to come in year 2, has a great first year. That's that everybody will take that. But within year 2 or 3, you're back to having to look for a coach. Now I think this hire
ideally.
Ideally. But yeah, this hire is going to have the full support because that's what they have to do. I mean, they're not going to get anybody if they don't support them,
right.
and that means financially too, and inject stuff. Because look, for whatever people think of Todd Whitting, he helped get that facility built. He's had some other improvements, and that was in a good step in the right direction. And then just the wins on the field, just the last 7 years or so, have not translated to what you probably should have here in Houston with, like you said, that recruiting. If you just get a few of them here in town, some of the top talent, you should be in good shape. But yeah, just moving forward, I think you will probably go for one of those up-and-comer assistants. Maybe, there's not a power. I don't think there's a power 4 coach out there unless there's just a situation where he's got to get out. And then that raises its next set of questions of, do you want a guy who something was going to be going on, or he just knew he was on his way out at the other school? I don't think those coaches are going to be available. So that's when you start looking at those up-and-comer assistant coaches and stuff like that. The guy from that used to be at Mississippi State, Lemoyne's.
Yeah.
He's the one that won the national championship.
Yeah.
He's currently not in baseball. So,
honestly, he did well at Indiana. He did well at Mississippi State, but I will tell you, the team that he ended up taking to the World Series and winning it, I'd say the majority of that, the elite players on that, were there already. He just did a good job of not screwing it up.
He inherited a good situation.
Yeah. I mean, they had Andy Canizaro down there, and then he got fired, and then they promoted the next coach, and they just had Canizaro recruited his ass off down there. But he had a lot of dudes. But then once those guys cycled through, and this was his dudes, not as good. So I don't know. I liked Pat Hallmark, but he just signed a long-term deal, and for us to hire him, we would have to buy out his contract. So that proves that that's a big complication, because that's money on top of money that you didn't already have to begin with.
When they began a search, I think that the key will be, typically you look at AD's history where he's been sort of the connection. I don't see that nearly as much with Eddie. I think Eddie likes to cast a really wide net. Right. And it's not just, and this is a good thing, it's not just about places he's been and people he knows, because as we know and seen, that sometimes that doesn't lead you necessarily down a good path just when you hire people that you've been around or that that could be, you could say that about a number of places. So this will be a job that draws some interest. I don't think they make a quick higher, but I don't think it'll be a long process. It'll certainly be shorter than it took them to find the AD replacement for Pesman to get Nunez. I think that took like 3 months or something. Yeah. I think this one will go a lot quicker and a lot smoother.
When I would assume that the portal runs kind of the same way that basketball does at the end of the season. Everybody who doesn't make the tournament, the portal opens, and then as the tournament goes, each team that gets eliminated, their portal window opens.
I think that's how it happened. And then when you make a change, if I'm not mistaken, like the other sports, there'll be an additional period where you can enter the portal or make your intention known that you are going to transfer.
Yep.
And that has been our baseball talk for the hour.
Yeah, that's enough for us. My mom says, "Oh my, that new intro was different." Yes. And JD, you were my mom's favorite guest on this show. So this is an early happy Mother's Day for you, Mom, to get to watch the great JD Duarte.
So I was bad. I had a 50-50 chance on this one. See, if Martin had been on, at least I had a 1 in 3. That would make me feel a little bit better. But, if I was your mom, I'd pick me too. So,
Absolutely. Because she's got to deal with me. You're much nicer. Let's see. BEP trip, part of the Big 12 Media Days, Buddy Road trip, Brad and Roy. I've thought about it, and Ryan's trying to entice me to go by saying we're going to go to Grandy's in Arlington, and then maybe
no, he mentioned it was the Lone Star Cafe. Lone Star Cafe.
Okay.
Remember those places that were around town? Apparently there's 2 left in Texas or just a couple, and it's like where you can get the chicken fried steak and the fried okra and all the good Southern style food. But you know what? You should do a show where y'all go on a mega bus. That would be a great segment. Do the podcast live from the mega bus or a Greyhound bus or something.
That would be nice. Nice. Anybody with a mega bus, hook me up.
It's like a $10 ticket. I'll give y'all a ride home. Y'all just have to get up there.
No, we want it for ourselves, just like a tour bus, like a Madden Cruiser. That would be awesome.
Take it out of the GoCoogs.com empire fund.
Exactly. Let's go Grimes and Shred. Grimes is going to the next round. Shed has 14 points right now in Game 7. Looks like Cleveland they dropped the hammer on them.
Marcus Esser also with the Pistons. So you had potentially three Cougs today who all won Game 7s or are within shots of winning Game 7s.
Yeah. And Jamal started off hot tonight, and I haven't seen what he's doing lately other than this score, and it doesn't look great. Let's see. When will Diane arrive on campus?
Any day now.
Sure, but I heard he was coming in May.
Yeah, Kelvin said early May, and he's I don't know where he's at in the recovery, but it didn't sound like it was too severe. But he had cut a finger or two on his left hand, so as far as he can still run.
Exactly,
and that's sort of, and that's going to be the key with him. This is a 7'1", 290, maybe a little bit more. So they're gonna get him down. I actually got to spend some time with him, and I'll have a story come out in the next week. I was up in Des Moines after the Iowa State game, and they gave me like a little all access to him where I watched some practices. Sat down with him for a while. Great kid. You're gonna love him. He's just kind of that big teddy bear type. But no, that's just off the court. In the court, the dude is a beast. There's going to be some parts of his game that certainly need development, and he's young, so keep that in mind. But he's a big body, and if you throw in JoJo, Rico Gillespie, that's a formidable front court that they're going to have. It's going to be some size, a lot of rebound potential there. So I think you'll really there'll be some fans that get attached to Arifon from day one.
That is awesome. What are the experts saying about the players Matthew Mitchell has brought in? That's impressive. I hadn't really been following it close, But what I've
They got
seen,
Justice Carlton from Texas.
yeah,
She's huge. She was like top 12 recruit from a couple of years ago out of Seven Lakes. She'll play
right,
with her sister, who's going to be a freshman. Her name's Maddie Carlton. Then you have Justice, who was at Texas on the two Final Four teams. I'm just watching some game, highlights. She's legit. She's a scorer. I think a lot of what they're going to do will go through her, and I think just having somebody of that caliber who potentially gets drafted next year or
wow,
within two. I mean, she's legit, and
that good.
she's also a good quote. I know I did a story on her last week, and she wasn't very fond of her exit from Austin. I think the quote was, "They didn't really make it hard for me to leave. They made it easy, and I didn't really enjoy my time there." So for those Longhorn bashers out there, you'll like that. But she's certainly a very skillful player. Then they brought in the number one, the JUCO player of the year, Esmeralda. She changed her name. I think it's Enriquez is what her name is, Esmeralda. But she was out of Arizona, I think it was Eastern Arizona, JUCO.
Right.
So, I mean, he's gotten some good talent. He also added a guard from, I think she was maybe the Mountain West 6 player of the year. So, I mean, Matthew just needed time. I mean, he came in and, from the Huey disaster, if you want to call it that, and it takes time. And they have pretty much this is a complete roster turnover.
I bet.
From what they had from last year. So, just like what Kelvin eventually did with the men, I think at some point you just be competitive and go a couple of rounds deep in the conference tournament. Maybe get an NIT. Your first year with these players, or the way things pan out, maybe a little bit more. But he's going in the right direction.
It's definitely going to be a completely different type of program.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, let's go to, we got Martin Marroquin sitting here ready to come on. Let's bring him on stage and let's talk a little bit of Recruiting Plus and University of Houston football recruiting. Martin, welcome. Thank you.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, thanks for having me on.
What you know, good buddy? I heard some things are going well for the Cougs this week.
Yeah, Josiah Morgan just committed yesterday. We'll have a story coming out tomorrow. Sat down and talked to him about the process, and believe it or not, Brian Bell is doing a good job of recruiting. Surprise, surprise. He's responsible for 4 of the 8 commits through this point in the recruiting class. So if anybody's earning their paycheck, it's certainly Brian Bell.
Well, give us a preview on the new guy.
Yeah, he's another Louisiana kid. He's the second Louisiana kid. Marcus Watson Jr. is the other. A lot of the guys, outside of Braden Baker, who was obviously going to be a quarterback. There's no question about what position he's going to play. Josiah Morgan is going to come and be a receiver.
Okay.
I'm sure he has the ability to play other spots, but as far as I know, there's no defensive film for him like a lot of the other guys. He's a receiver. He's pretty polished, route running. I see the comments, and that's what I said on Twitter as well. There's some Amari Thomas there, in build and just style. They kind of turn into running backs after they catch the ball, almost like Debo Samuel-ish, where they turn into different kind of runners, and what you see from like a longer, lankier receiver where it's more linear. These guys are tough runners. They can make people miss in space, that kind of stuff.
Nice. So go ahead.
As Ryan would say, they're the tough Louisiana receivers. They got another one.
It seems like we're making a really decent push there in Louisiana. Is that a focus, or is that an also when you're in the area type deal?
Based on the kind of players they had on campus for practices, and of course the spring game, just looking at the offers, especially recently, they've offered a lot of 2027s in Louisiana. With the window opening up for contact with players, because of the weird schedule for when you can talk to players.
Right.
But there's certainly emphasis on Louisiana because like Ryan has mentioned before, and I know a little bit from my time in doing the job. There's untapped areas in Louisiana because it's not to say it's like a third world country, but some of these kids just don't do social media. They don't get out to camps. They don't have college coaches coming to their high schools often for spring workouts and stuff. So, the Fritz staff has the luxury of knowing what being in Louisiana is, and having had to recruit the area,
right,
and understanding how fertile it is in terms of talent. So, yeah, that's a pipeline they weren't going to relinquish. They're going to maintain that. The whole bayou to bayou, hashtag is something I expect to exist as long as Willie and his son or Wes are running things.
right.
If you look at the guys, if you put like the red dots on a map, it would be Houston area, Newton, which is essentially the border between Texas and Louisiana, and then the two kids in Louisiana. That's the entire recruiting class so far, and I don't expect it to stray too far outside of that.
Well, I mean, you got Baton Rouge, you got New Orleans, and then Shreveport. That's where I would assume most of the talent's going to come from. I mean, I don't that in Iowa, of course. We also got we got to include Iowa in there. That's where all the superstars come from.
He's from Iowa, Louisiana, not Iowa. Iowa.
Yeah, watching some of these kids' highlight tapes. I mean, you see Iowa in the middle of the field quite a bit. Whether it's for Iowa or not, you do see a lot of plays being made on their field.
So, what do you see? Do you see anything coming up? Anything in the tea leaves of be on the lookout for as far as potential commits? Have we got anybody close? Do you know?
Not, I'm not going to pretend I have a scoop at the moment, but the first weekend of official visits will be May 28th. So here at the end of the month.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the recruiting calendar.
Yeah, there's going to be a handful of commits then, I would expect.
Okay.
But just with how the trend has been going, if you look at the guys that have committed, obviously none of them have taken an official visit yet because it's not time for that yet. But it's guys who have been on campus several times for practice, guys who potentially have an official visit scheduled, and they're in the boat. And a lot of them have been offered like this calendar year, even as recent as like the end of January. Like if you look at the first two commits, Raiden Cook and Mopoko, it was like a 2-week process between offer to commit. And that's kind of how a lot of this has gone. I think Braden Baker had the longest like recruiting time frame from when they initially offered to when he actually committed. I think they offered him in like 2024, like right when they got here. But outside of that, maybe Braylon Lane as well. But outside of that, it's been pretty quick turnaround on getting these guys in the boat. I think Wes Fritz does a good job of seeing things that other people may not, whether it's, an area that's not being utilized in Louisiana, for example, a kid like Ty Green that I would pay attention to out of Stratford here in Houston. Massive kid. He's been on campus a couple of times. I think he's like 6'6", 290, and I might be shortchanging him a couple biscuits. But, they were the first to offer him. He's picked up a lot of offers recently with the calendar opening up. But, when I talk to him, he's not necessarily saying he's committed to Houston, but he is saying that the loyalty is important to him. They were the first to offer and the first to take a chance on his ability. So, that's another kid. He played D-line, but I think they're looking at him as an offensive lineman. He'll probably play both this year because he can. But that's a kid that I would keep an eye on, adding more beef to the offensive line.
I'd love to hear that. Stacked offensive lineman. I would love to see 4 new freshmen every single year and just keep rolling them through, man, and just start building that stable. Connor says running back from Newton has some serious juice.
Yeah, he gives me some Ray Sanford vibes. I don't know if he quite has run for as many yards as Ray did because Ray had an incredible high school career at Harker Heights. But there's some similarities there. I see some juice. He might be a little bit bigger, or taller rather, because Ray is just a little muscle. Like every bit of his body is muscle. So it's never going to say somebody is bigger than him. But I think KJ Porter is slightly taller. But no, there's a lot of the same running style and like violence to the way that he runs.
Nice. So how's all of Recruiting Plus going for you this summer?
I mean, I think it's going well. We've locked down at this point a conversation with all of the commits except for KJ Porter from Newton. He's like a lot of the kids in this class. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's just the way that it's worked out for them, but a lot of these kids aren't your stereotypical perception of what recruits are now, where they all want to be on social media and like to be recruited, as we used to say. Some of these kids, it's hard to get a hold of them. Like, it'll be a couple weeks and they see that I've DM'd them and they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore this. I'm just never on my phone, which is odd to hear.
Explain what the like to be recruited is for the folks.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see the kids, right? Realistically, these guys are considering 5 or 6 schools at that most, right? Where they're actually going to end up. So when you see a kid post that he's got 60 offers, 55 of those don't really matter, because he's not going to pick 55 of those schools. A kid who's got the TV schools like the Ohio States and the Michigans and Texas and things like that, those kinds of offers, posting that he got an Arkansas Tech offer, no disrespect to them, isn't going to really move the needle for him in reality, but it's a way to say that he's getting attention. So, likes to be recruited, you'll see these kids just posting a lot about the attention that they're getting. And hey, more power to them. You're only going to get this opportunity once, but there's a subset of kids that don't care about it, and it's kind of refreshing. It makes my job a little harder, but it's nice.
Brad, my only contribution to this recruiting talk, I wish I could show you my DMs, because around this time of year and maybe around December, I get dozens where they're like, hey, Coach Duarte, will you take a look at my highlight film? And they're like, hey, I would like a shot at you, with your program. Here's my phone number. Here's my measurables. And I'm like,
Coach Duarte.
Yeah. So, yeah, I might have to change my intern to coach. But, yeah, so I'm thinking to myself, all right, if you're coming at me as a coach, you're probably not going to get a look or an invite or something like that. But it is kind of funny, because a lot of these kids, they're just, the ones that are on the radar. I mean, schools come to them, but there are so many kids out there who just want a shot, want a chance. That's what they do. Those are the ones that live on social, because they're the ones that have to get their brand and their name and their film out there.
Yeah. Well, and I can appreciate it. I know for the guys who were the obvious picks, I know it's got to be frustrating at times that, man, you just get bombarded. But I mean, back when I was coming up in the 90s, there was no way to, you had to send a literal film to people. I mean, my dad helped put together a resume for me, and also had pictures of me that we'd send out to schools, just in the hope of getting on somebody's radar, having to go to tryout camps and having to just show up, just hoping somebody would come and take a look, because there was no way to get a hold of them.
That was the one time Brad had to go to Sears and get the Olin Mills headshots.
Absolutely.
You had the little plaid jacket and the background with the little furry blue carpet or red carpet.
Get 3 pictures of me and have like a 3 wolf howling on the t-shirt.
That was the key. Get multiple outfits so that you could use those photos later on.
Exactly. And we did have, I know my mom somewhere in the garage has our old Olin Mills family pictures.
I'm going to guess that 75% of the people who are watching this right now have no idea what I'm talking about. But just do a search for Olin Mills, and you'll see those nice 1970, 1980 family portraits done at Sears.
I know Ryan's got one somewhere of him.
I'd pay money for that.
I think it was in like a cowboy hat or something. I swear I've seen it somewhere. I don't see it in here.
Sears is a
You got
deep cut.
that-
There you go.
go.
You got that dumb one.
The mullet.
Speaking of Ryan, he just snuck in here. Let's talk to Ryan real quick.
You're all a bunch of assholes, first off. Those Sears Portrait Studios were fantastic. I still use those on my Tinder.
I'm surprised you don't have them on your real estate card.
Yeah, I might.
Business card.
To clear a few things up, Iowa is the only place they're recruiting. Kids that love to be recruited, Galen Robinson. There is no kid in U of H history that loved being recruited more than this kid. He loved being recruited. He needed to be needed, and God bless him for it. And Brass, the mega bus or the Flix bus is like the step down from the Greyhound bus. Duarte wasn't saying, let's roll in style. He was saying, you're not even good enough for Greyhound.
No,
And to send your ass to Dallas so you can go to Grandy's, Black Eyed Pea and Poncho's, both in Arlington. And
well, if we were going to do
that's
Ponchos,
not
if we're going to do a Ponchos in Dallas, we're going to the one in Mesquite. That's going to take you to my stomping ground.
Yeah.
You're not going to get shot, but you probably get hit with a brick. At least if I had it to say of it.
Martin is doing great work in recruiting. Joseph Duarte continues to shine post-internship at the Houston Chronicle. And Brad, you've made this last hour sort of interesting, except for that baseball talk. Because
Hey, we
who wants
tried.
to hear that? Yeah.
But hey, it's an LSU guy, so you should be excited.
He was a great player, won a national title in 08 or 09. Great baseball guy, great baseball mind, great recruiter.
Okay.
I think, no, he's never been at a program with this little resources, but he knows to get his start, he's going to have to start at a place like this. And frankly, there's no better place than starting in Houston with this recruiting territory and with coaches that really haven't seen a U of H recruiter in a while. May not even know U of H has baseball.
I don't know. I mean, it will be sad that we'll lose our recruiting pipeline to Rhode Island
That's true.
and Germany. Here we go. Sears on Shepherd is currently under construction to become a Target, but that Sears sign is still up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It looks like a scene for a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yes, it does. I'm 38 and remember doing the family photos at J.C. Penney.
Yes, if you went upstairs at J.C. Penney, where they would sell tickets, you would go down this hall to get your picture taken, or that hall to do defensive driving, and both were available at the J.C. Penney's in the San Jacinto Mall in Baytown.
Should be able to get a passport photo in there too.
We weren't doing passport photos in Iowa, Brad.
Fishing licenses.
Yeah, well, there is that.
I mean,
For those not named Sorsby who took the over on Sears references tonight, you hit.
Yes. Speaking of, and this was going to be my next.
Oh,
next
look at that
topic.
segue there.
What in God's name is Sorsby even going to argue in court? What do you think about this, JD? This new gambling epidemic out there.
Does he have like an assistant like Otani did?
That's the first thing I thought. I would have blamed it on translator.
Yeah, they're blaming it on someone. Hell, Ryan would throw Linda under the bus.
I 100% would.
You're out of the will for even thinking it.
Well,
What was your question though, Brad?
No, what do you think about the whole Sorsby situation with
Crazy. I don't even know what's crazy. The fact that, okay, it started at Indiana, and then you have the element of how much did Cincinnati know in going into his last season. And then, oh, by the way, I guess somebody hates Texas Tech more than Houston fans do to either rat them out or to expose it. I mean, it's kind of, you think about the high schools and how cutthroat UIL is when the playoffs roll around, and you got somebody reporting. So this is what that was. Somebody reported it, and it's totally become this off-season theater that is thrown the Big 12 race and everything about it into chaos because you don't know what's going to happen. I think what we do know is that this guy's eligibility is done. He's not going to play this season. So you're Texas Tech, you're going into a season with a quarterback who's coming off an ACL, won't be ready till week 3, and you having to play Houston that week. But yeah, for Sorsby though, the sheer number of bets, the guy's betting on balls and strikes. Yeah, I mean, you need to be in some facility right now because that's just, there's a lot going on. And of course, people will say, well, look, all this money that these kids are coming into. And then a couple of months ago, you had the NCAA contemplating what they could bet on or maybe loosening the restrictions. This is just a bad mix of perfect storm that this kid got sucked into, and hope he gets the help, but I don't see his next snap coming on any college Saturday, Friday, or Thursday, whenever they play.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was wild enough just to know that he was gambling or whatever. And it's been going on for,
Years.
we only know about what really happened what really went down allegedly at Indiana. But now we see of the volume that he was doing it in. It kept going. It had to go all the way through Cincinnati. But when it comes through and thinking Cincinnati's known this the whole time, that they were apparently alerted last August about him.
Yeah.
About a gambling probe. And then they just sat on it and wait till the portal closes, wait till post spring, and then drop the hammer.
They could have waited about 4 more weeks.
I mean, it was really conveniently timed with the way that their lawsuits going as far as trying to get money back from him for that transfer. And so as soon as they saw that started going south, they're like, well, guess what? You're done.
Yeah, it's also crazy that they'll comment on the fact that he was gambling, and looking at the story is sponsored by DraftKings or
that was messed up.
Or the people talking about it introduced their advertising of gambling to talk about how could this kid be gambling, as if it's not all thrown in his face at every opportunity.
Yeah, it was like the story was written, and then you had now so and so's plus 200. They've improved to win. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of things that sort of not right in that story.
Who could have seen this happening?
And the NFL is not taking a chance on him. He's not going in the supplemental draft. It's just not happening. You cannot, as a league, bring in a guy who is gambling on his own team. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rule him out in the future in the NFL. But
right, but I'm saying in the supplemental draft right now. Yeah,
I mean, they would literally have to take him while his suitcase is still packed, coming out of rehab.
He'll sit out. He'll end up having to probably sit out a year, do his penance, whatever that may prove that he's reformed or everything's good, and then sort of time heals wounds, and we know that a lot of these professional leagues like a story where there's a second chance involved, and somebody will give him one. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm with Ryan on that. He won't get a look in the supplemental draft, but I think it'll certainly be a long process or longer process before somebody gives him a legitimate shot. He might get taken and see where that goes, but I don't. You won't see him on a football field this fall.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
so if you take somebody in the supplemental draft, you lose a pick, correct?
Right.
In that round, yes.
Okay. So if he's taken in like the 4th round of the supplemental draft, you lose a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'll say this. If you're good enough, anything can happen. Because, I mean, hell, Ray Lewis had a murder case over the top of him for a while. Once that clears up, everything's good.
I mean, there's other stuff he's going to have to deal with. I mean, there's also the pending lawsuit, I believe, that he's got going with Cincinnati, trying to recoup that money. I think it was about $1 million. And then, not having seen the contracts that they signed, there's what happens with the money in Texas Tech. And I'm sure there's I don't know what the legal term would be. Ryan's our expert.
Morality clause, basically.
Yeah. Probably like a conduct detrimental to the program or something, a catch-all if you do something.
Contract detrimental to Cody Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes away. So.
Yeah.
But
they're not going to give him a check from.
And I think Texas Tech could sue him because they're already paying him.
Yeah.
And so they could be in the receiving line too. So he needs to get better at gambling real quick so he can pay off all these.
I mean, if he's a real G doing some gambling, then he had to bet the under on Tech's win total before he went in. And if he didn't bet that, then he doesn't really have that much of a problem.
What was Cincinnati's win total last year? Because they lost their last 5 games. I'm just saying, if their win total was 8,
was it?
I'm just saying. 6.5. So he went over. Oh, okay. Duarte, you have seen this photo. What is your thought on being a candle for Jennifer and Mike? A little candle, that is.
Well, it's not always the size, Ryan.
Well, hey, I tell people that all the time.
But
you found his motto.
Well, first of all, I even appreciate Jennifer for including me in such a very well thought out, nod to the program. Just to be next to the Godfather and Brad, that's career reaching levels. Yes. Roy, yeah. I do like her choice of photos for you.
Yeah.
Brad's kind of got that intelligent, looking to the sky, he's in deep thought.
Yes. That's exactly.
He's sitting alone and he's thinking, who farted? That's what that face is.
And Galen's just a bucket getter, so that one works out.
Bucket getter. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. But no, a little secret. I was at an airport when that idea was hatched. I don't think they'll mind me saying that. I petitioned for you to have a different type of candle or a different type of, something. But she went the classy route and took care of you.
Classy lady.
Yeah.
And we'll just throw one more photo and then we'll get it off the screen.
There it is. There it is. That's what we're talking about.
I pulled more women at that point in my life than I ever did again.
God, if they only knew.
If they only knew. Yeah.
Well, it looks like Jamal's season's coming to an end.
So they were tied at the half, and the next time I looked, they were down 15 or 20.
It looked like they didn't even score for half the third quarter. I mean, Jamal didn't score again. He had 14 in the
he had 14 in like half. 10 minutes. Yeah,
bunch of assists, but
yeah. Are you going to talk about the Big Ten and all their money?
We can go into it right now.
Okay, go ahead. Set it up, Brad.
Big Ten announced their payouts. And if anybody didn't know, Big Ten is very, very rich. Now, they were talking about how massive the number is, and it is a massive number, and how they're destroying everybody. It's $76 million, but the SEC was also $74 million.
Well, 76 was for most teams. There were three teams that were over 90. Yeah,
that's the average. But then you got the big payouts on like $96 million for Ohio State and $88 million for Penn State, because this was from obviously last year when Ohio State won the national title, and then Penn State made it to the semifinals, which led to their coach getting fired, but hey,
Yeah.
it's their choice. So they made insane money, and I know what was it? All the Pac-12 guys got a partial, like $40 some odd million.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you're in the league, it's great to be Rutgers and suck at everything and get rich. Rutgers and Purdue, fantastic job.
So the numbers, Ohio State 91.5, Penn State 88.9. Those were the two highest. And then you had Oregon at 48.4, Washington at 46.7. And then those received partial shares. And I think USC and UCLA were fully vested. So
Okay.
can you imagine that money alone? I would assume probably 100 schools this past year didn't have that in their entire budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Well, in the thing, yeah, it's a massive amount of money. But the thing that makes it even crazier is that they're still entertaining the private equity deal. How much more money do they need?
Well, think about the number of programs that a school like Michigan and Ohio State are funding. And I mean in their programs, so, women's rowing and field hockey, but also they're funding Minnesota and Iowa and Northwestern and Purdue. Mm-hmm. Purdue has had, I think, 7 double-digit losing seasons in the last 10 years, and they're still making $80 million a year in media share. That ain't bad.
Yeah.
Rutgers and Maryland have offered nothing to that conference, and they're making $75 million a year. It's wild.
Rutgers literally is the person who stumbles across a lottery ticket somebody dropped outside the convenience store. They picked it up, went and cashed it because they're getting paid year after year, and they have done absolutely nothing. Last time I remember Rutgers having a good football season was that year, 2006 or 7, where they in South Florida, I think, climbed pretty high in the polls, but they haven't done anything. I mean, they had 2 lottery picks or 2 high NBA draft picks, 2 years ago? And they weren't very good. I mean,
Nope.
that's a lot of money. Yeah. That's a lot of good money to have. The same thing with Maryland.
I always forget that they're in the. I forget that they're in the Big 12. I actually forget that they actually exist.
There's that.
I should know that.
Yeah. Duarte, do you have any thoughts about this Duke idea of playing 3 games? I guess it's on Amazon Prime. There are 3 non-conference neutral site basketball games.
Right. They're all big games.
ACC and ESPN gave their blessing to, but Fox is now saying, whoa, one of those games is ours.
Right. Yeah, they don't want to lose that.
I do not understand. Game. I don't understand anything about why a league and ESPN would give up a situation like that to broadcast that kind of game. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Unless they got something on the back end.
Right. But if you're a brand like that, you sort of, I don't know how much you control your shot. I mean, there's agreements in place, but you're right. I mean, that's your biggest brand or one of your 2. Why do you take that inventory and let it walk? So, I think you see more games nowadays where, for the better part of, depending on who's putting it on, you're going to see setups like that. We see it already with some of the games that they're playing in Chicago or Atlanta, or even to an extent some of the players there stuff. There's games that sort of go outside the big draw games, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe somebody is experimenting. Maybe somebody's seeing how this works, how it plays out, and kind of go from there. Maybe this is the trial, but yeah, it is a little bit interesting to see how a conference anybody would agree to that.
And no single basketball game makes so much money that losing it is just disastrous. I mean, there's 30 or 40 games on every Saturday. So that's not the issue. But just setting that precedent where, your big name teams are all of a sudden going and finding their own deals.
Well,
I don't know
It's not
what
the
I
others.
like about that.
I think the biggest part of it is the fact that they're losing a premier game to a streamer, and it's allowing
Yeah.
the streamer to come in and get their first real taste of it, which for the teams that are involved, knowing that we could possibly work our way into scenarios of that nature, that's just the way it's going to be. But as a fan, it sucks because now you're
Yes.
talking about now we are going to experience what Europe has gone through in watching their soccer teams, is that these things are going to be broadcasted on multiple different streaming platforms, all of them with outrageous prices. I guess YouTube's coming up with it. They finally got the skinny package coming up for their streamer. That's going to be 56 for first year non-subscribers and 65 for regular subscribers. But that's just for sports. That's just to watch sports. On mine, I've got Paramount Plus. I have Peacock. Luckily, Peacock comes with my cable. But then you've got two other ones. I have to watch games on Netflix, and I have to watch games on Amazon now. You see it with the NBA. The NBA's been all over the place. I don't know where to find it.
Yeah. Well, the NFL's the same thing. You've got
And that
Amazon games
and that goes back to the thing that I'm concerned about. The Paramount deal through Redbird could be a great thing, but it only is great if we become the flagship of CBS and we have a full day of broadcast on CBS. If not, we're dead. Because
are you saying on football or basketball?
Football?
Well, that's not going to happen.
People are watching them everywhere.
The football, the Big Ten is their premium game on CBS.
That therein lies the problem, is that all of a sudden people don't know where you are. Now, if you're on ESPN, then you get big ESPN. You can get an ABC game every now and then. You're going to get if you're going to get rare CBS games, you got to get at least one guaranteed, but you need multiple per day to make it worthwhile. Just because you got to play the game. ABC and ESPN run the show. And if you're not on linear TV, still, you're missing a massive portion of the audience. You can tell just by the numbers each week. Every week, the games on linear TV are the highest rated.
You would have to play an 11 a.m. game on CBS for that to work, because the Big Ten owns the 3:30 Eastern time slot.
Okay.
Saturday night on CBS is for Murder, She Wrote and shit like that. They're not getting rid of that to show a little college football.
You got Metamucil ads and Depends ads.
Yeah, reverse mortgages. Yeah, I mean that's the night that you get
Wentworth.
that gold. Yeah. So maybe that works, and maybe that's what's happening with the ACC and Amazon. Maybe they're okay. We're putting our best foot forward to Amazon because we want to do something with them down the road. Maybe if they're trying to keep that league together, maybe that's one of the ways they do it is an Amazon plus ESPN deal.
That's a smart play for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these days the fact that we're allowing private equity even into the conversation says we're going after money everywhere we could possibly find it, and they are going to try to gouge it. Now, of course, the wet dream of Cody Campbell is taking everybody and pile them all into one contract.
Does that sound terrible to anybody else but me?
Sounds terrible to me.
Because you were in a world where that was the thing. If everybody goes into the same contract, that means ESPN gets to say, okay, Big 12, we're going to put you on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. And ACC, you're going to be on at noon on Monday. And then it's Big 10 all day Saturday, SEC all day Saturday. Mm-hmm. But all the smaller conferences, because you've given us, you're stuck. You can't go negotiate your own deal. You're stuck in this lane, and that's where you're going to be forever.
Yep.
And it makes no sense for 90% of college athletics to do a deal like that, which means it's going to happen.
I think the thing that we're finding out, or I've known for a long time, and most people that are paying attention have known for a long time, is that the more business decision these academics make, the worse things get.
Can't disagree. Duarte, do you like this idea of one TV contract for all the schools?
No.
Where else can you find such analysis? But on GoCoogs.com, on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook.
Hey, I don't have time to watch TV. I don't have time to watch these games. So, but no, I see the argument of I'm more of a, how should I put it? I think the ability to have multiple ways to watch these games and not all in one spot. I think there's more value to that. So again, I'm not our TV radio reporter at the Chronicle. Let's talk about the court and the field, and I'm your guy, Ryan. This TV stuff, how they say it's above my pay grade right now.
Yeah, that's a job you need to go after.
I didn't make much at GoCoogs.com as an intern, so it's way above my pay grade.
We're about to announce a much better intern program. So,
I mean, do you like all of your content being on one?
Yeah, I loved when everything was on cable and we didn't need streaming services, and I could flip from one to the other with ease instead of, okay, I've got to get off of Amazon Prime and go to ESPN. Well, ESPN takes a while to load, and then I've got Peacock, which, okay.
Those days are over. I mean, you're never going to be able to have a one-stop shop.
Well, yeah. I disagree, because somebody's going to come up with a brilliant idea to say, why don't we just take all these streamers and bundle them into one service, and they're going to rebrand cable.
Call it cable. Yeah.
I mean, the other night, whatever NBA game was on, I realized I didn't have Paramount. So I had to go real quick. I had to scan the QR on the TV. I had to put in the credit card. Then I have Paramount. And then I have Hulu, YouTube TV, Netflix. So, but believe it or not, I don't go home and watch sports. I mean, I just can't do that all the time. If there's a game on, I'll watch it if I'm interested. But I gotta disconnect at some point. It's not me. You won't find me.
That was the weirdest part of starting GoCoogs, was my interest in other games went way down.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was going to happen, but like.
And you're a single guy.
Yeah, but if I come home, an 11 a.m. home game, which you got 11 of those last year, and there's games on, I'm just like, nah, I'm going to just sit in silence and relax.
Well, it used to be that, you would be able to know, or you'd be willing to know everything about what's going on in the Big 10, Big 12, ACC, because you're watching all the games. Now I watch U of H and do the post-game show, and then I'm done. It's like I don't have the stomach for much else.
I will say this: when I was a football voter for the top 25, whether I was on a hotel on the road, I would tune in to as many games as possible, because as a voter, you have that responsibility. Even the late games that are on the West Coast, you watch as much as you can. You absorb it. You see how teams did. I'm not a voter anymore of some of these games. Now, Ryan knows the schedule, and we're out at U of H a lot. And whether it's football or basketball season, it's just, I don't want to leave TDECU and go home and watch another game. Now, if it's a huge game of the weekend, maybe, yeah. But I'm not just going to go randomly sit on the couch and start channel surfing and stream surfing and look for a game.
Have you gone to TDECU the last time ever? Are they changing the name?
No. You know what? I know this for a fact. I got this confirmed a couple of days ago. it will be TDUCU again this year. This is the
Okay.
longest drawn out process in stadium naming history because the folks over at TDECU thought they were being cute or whatever, but when they made that first merger, people started asking, well, is this going to be a name change? Is it going to be Space City Financial? They pretty much confirmed, yeah, this is the name. It was very premature. And apparently there's some other stuff that they're working through. I don't know if there's another merger happening or if they haven't settled on a name, if it hasn't gone through. But yeah, I mean, there's no way, because you have to account for the signage that you have to take down and everything else that goes with it. So yeah, we're looking at 2027 now, and even that you have to say at the earliest before we have a new name. But I don't even know. I don't even think it's going to be Space City Financial.
Yeah, I don't either.
So
that would have been so cool too. I would have loved to have had that.
yeah, but I ask about that all the time. I finally got an answer this week.
They're merging again with Smart Financial, is it? I think that's
so. Yeah,
is what's happening, and it seems like to me in that community bank credit union world, that's just what's going to keep happening. So why not just keep the same name on it until you feel like you're kind of in a stop spot?
I gotta say, Martin's had the longest smile.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. It's kind of creepy.
It was frozen. It was hilarious. I love it. As soon as I say it, it unfreezes.
I don't smile much. Y'all should have screenshot that.
Yeah.
But no, that was a good question, Ryan. Timely, because that sort of has been lingering for a long time. And each year the season's wrapped up. The last 2 years, we're like, hey, this is the last one. So long, TDCU. Nope.
No.
I mean, we've literally done stories in the paper that said it's done. You know, we had people from TDECU Stadium go on the record. Yes, there's a name coming, and it's sort of the can's getting kicked down the road.
Figures.
But the check still comes through.
That's all that matters.
Hey,
Are they a
those are
possibility for the patches, do you think?
I don't think so. Now, that's another story. I got that story coming out in a couple of days. They're looking local. The preference is to go local. And but you also they also are looking at some of the global brands that have headquarters here. You know, you could look at some of the oil companies, maybe even an HEB. You know, they've done stuff with Group One recently. I would think something like, you know, Oxy has the Astros. You know, they've got a presence here. Any of the Landrys, Fertitta stuff would be on the table. So I don't. I think they're close in terms of we're looking at early summer. They will have something in place for the fall.
We think.
No. I think that's a very real timetable, and you know they are engaged in a few talks, and the way it's been described to me is some of the places they're hearing from there's no relationship. They're just kind of we're interested, but then on U of H's side, they're being a little cautious because they want a partner that they can build something with. Like Kelvin said, it's not just about taking the money. They want to have a vision, and some of these companies that they talk to just don't fit that description. So I'm not saying they're taking money off the table. I think they've actually even been offered by someone, and they did not pull the trigger then because they were not in a place where they felt like this was the way to go. But you know, it's not going to be gallery furniture or anything like that. You know, Buc-ee's, you know, places like that.
Oh, that little beaver on that would be
badass.
Gold.
But look at there's 11 FBS schools who have signed deals and announced them. UNLV's one of them, LSU, Arkansas. Arkansas's got Tyson Foods.
Right.
Memphis has FedEx. USF went with a hospital group. Mm-hmm. So Memorial Hermann could be, you know, they've already have their name on the facility. Right. You know, do you try to expand that? And like we talked about earlier, Ryan, this could go in many different directions. It could be a football only one. Then you have basketball separate. You could lump them all together. You could have a women's sports one, and then separate ones for your other two big ones. You could do Olympics. So, I mean, they're looking at all possibilities. There's not a just one, you could do all 17, but they also are considering breaking things up, getting some separate deals. And I'm told, basketball and football could probably fetch in that 1.5 for football to 2 and maybe like 2.5 for basketball. And that's annually.
That's what I was told. Yeah.
And you could do 4 to 5 years. That's typically what the length of those deals are. So, and then like we mentioned earlier, they'll have one for the turf at the football stadium, and they'll have a company on the basketball court for the start of basketball season. It's a lot of revenue that they didn't have. So
Yeah.
That's a very good player in the portal.
I mean, if you could get 10 million total a year, or no, excuse me, if you have 2, 4, probably like 6 to 8, maybe that's extra coming in off of those 3 things.
Are you saying the field and the court are different deals than the patch?
Yes.
Okay. They could be the same. They could wrap it all into one.
Yeah, Chevron could come up to you and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, we'll give you 12 million for everything."
Done. Sign
done
now.
Yeah.
But
no.
yeah, okay. I was just curious if they were the same or okay.
I mean, right now, sources tell me on the basketball court, GoCoogs.com is the likely choice. I think it's like a $5 million a year.
We're in the consideration, yeah.
Yeah, we're up there.
Some
proposals out.
funky logo. It's going to replace where the Howie Lorch, Elvin Hayes.
Yeah, Elvin Hayes.
thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him out of there. Put our logo.
Me riding a
I'm here for
turkey.
it.
I mean, what could be a better fit? That'd be a great logo. That'd be a great patch on the football.
Oh, you on that turkey would be awesome. Anyways.
So yeah, some extra revenue coming in. So on top of what we'll find out in a couple of weeks on the Big 12 full share payment, the bank account will look a lot better.
Absolutely.
By August.
For a minute, because this money is all spent. They have already allotted where it's gone. So it looks better for a minute.
Yeah,
That's gonna Eddie should screenshot the bank account that day and post it to Twitter. Yeah.
It's like those schools who take a 7-0 lead in the first quarter against the Giant, and you snap the photo, take the team picture, then it's
Stop
gone.
the count.
U of H was at Oklahoma in 04, I think it was 05 actually. And U of H went up 7-0, and the U of H contingent was underneath the scoreboard, and we just had all gotten camera phones. And so we all turned around and took the picture of that score on our flip phones, our razors. And 7-0. I think it ended up 63-7. So
Jesus.
it was a nice minute.
Well,
Okay,
y'all pretty much done? Anything?
done.
Y'all got anything else?
No, it's just
Okay.
kind of moving forward. Like we talked, Brad, track will be coming up. Then that sort of wraps up the season. We'll have some housekeeping stuff, coaching staff wise, that kind of stuff. But
It was 2004. Went to OU. It was 63-13. It was the week right after you lost to Rice 10-7
Yep.
then Reliant, now Reliant. Those were the days.
Brad, we talked about blend earlier. I probably
Yep.
shouldn't do this, but if I could get Ryan this photo here of my blend days, it might rival his Olin Mills photo.
Oh,
that we
yes.
put up, from my blend Buccaneer days, back to the Willie Fritz. If you give me a second here,
Okay.
we could really end the show on a high note or low, depending on how you view it. But
And look,
Duarte.
I put the bar as low as I possibly can, so it's near impossible for us to go lower than that. So,
So let me. Here we go. I'm sending it to Ryan right now, and the reason I bring this up, Ryan, we were talking before we went on the show, and every chance Willie gets, we'll be in a group, and he'll be like, "Hey, there's another blend guy," and I'm like, "Willie, I only crossed paths with you for a few months." But I just sent it to Ryan. But yeah, so I know the hardships of going through the JUCO ranks and having done all these.
Is that you in the front?
I am. That's me. I'm second.
I mean,
from the
you're
left.
the only brown person, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. But I mean, I'm looking and looking and looking, and I can't figure it out. And it's like, Ryan, they're all white kids. Why is this so hard for you?
Yeah, there's something about us JUCO guys that we've
you're
seen
built different.
About as worse as it could possibly be. There's no glamour in JUCO. Those are for people who really want it.
I can attest to his road trips. Now, I never made the one to NEO. That's in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But from Brenham to Athens, Brenham to Navarro, Brenham to, Tyler. I mean, those are some.
Well, at least Navarro's on the freeway. Going to Athens, it's nothing but back
Athens
roads.
is brutal.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
I was honestly looking at the fat kid in the glasses on the left, thinking that was him, and then I was like, wait a second. I missed something.
Damn, now I'm looking at the photo now, and I can't understand how you wouldn't be able to pick me up. There's just three options
idiot.
there. There's just three options.
JD looking like Punch.
Looking like Saved by the Bell, Macy Slater.
That was my pre-glasses.
Those are some badass 90s jumpsuits, windsuits, as we called them. This week, Brad sent me a photo. Brad never sends me photos, but sent me a photo of his stats from when he was at U of H. And he wanted me to see this for the sole reason that he hit 300 one here. Duarte, did you know that? Brad is one of the 300. Yeah, 3 for 10.
Was that on a weight day?
I don't know, but he hit 300, and that's all he wanted me to know.
That's legit. Anybody who played Division One.
I started my senior year. I started the first 2 games as a hitter, and then I didn't bat again until the last day of the season. And then I'll go into the locker room, and my name is on the lineup card. And I'm like, somebody's fucking with me. And then I asked Tripp. I said, am I really in the lineup? He goes, yeah, it's senior day. So yeah, you're gonna get to play. I'm like, well, holy shit. So I ran and looked for a phone to call somebody because we didn't have cell phone back then. Called my parents, told them to make sure I come up. First inning, I ended up hitting a home run. And then in the second game, I
would have stopped. I would have just, nope, I'm done.
No, man, it was a moonshot, dude. It was a laser. One hopped the drive-through at McDonald's, and then in the second game, I hit a double off the screen in center field, and they pulled me and said it's done. It's like, sweet, 300.
Ryan,
so you knew at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to count my number of at bats.
You're not that bright. I just was wondering. That's all.
You go 2 for 4 in a doubleheader. It's not bad.
Ryan, that's your next project. You go and you get some type of placard, and you memorialize that spot where that ball landed over there at the McDonald's, somewhere around that parking lot, and it's dedicated by GoCoogs.com. That spot will live.
We have
forever.
A lot more money than we do.
But see,
when I sent
that to Ryan, I had to make sure that I highlighted my batting average because I didn't want him to go scroll down and look at the pitching stats.
I did.
We were not good. We were not good. But
no,
I will give him credit. We had a very tiny league, and everybody was good that year except for us and Baylor. That was as Rice started kicking things into gear, and Lance Berkman and Jose Cruz Jr.
Jose Cruz Jr.
Did you ever pitch against Lance?
Yeah.
How did he do against you?
He walked.
4 homers.
He walked. My last pitching appearance, I struck out Jose Cruz Jr.
I would have walked off the field then too.
I did. That was because it was the last out of the inning.
Oh, okay.
Like, sit down. I own you.
I didn't cover Lance in college, but I was at the Dome on the field the day he reported from the minors to the big leagues.
Oh, really?
And I remember Lance walking. The Dome used to have this tunnel underneath from the clubhouse hallway that would go under the stands and come out where the dugout is. And he walked, and it's a skinny kid, and he had this big look on his face when he looked like the kid in the Bad News Bears when they were walking into the Dome for the first time. I mean, he had that look, and you're like, I mean, here's this. What was he, the number 16 or so pick in the draft a couple years earlier? I mean, it was crazy to see Lance that young walking into the Dome for the first time.
You should have seen him in his freshman year in college, because he wasn't a skinny kid. He was just a chubby little dude that would play it out in left field. It's like, the hell is that guy? And then he turns into, I guess it was after I was done and I came back and became the yard guy. He was coming into his own, and he turned out to be, of the players that I've seen in person, Todd Walker's one of the best, but it's between Lance Berkman and Eddie Furness, two of the best.
Eddie Furness is the best college player I've ever seen.
I mean, those two, but Lance, when he hit the ball, it sounded different. I mean, I've seen him hit some home runs that I didn't think were possible to hit. And same thing with Eddie Furness, but I didn't get to see him in person many times.
No.
I saw Lance a lot.
He had the best nickname. They called him Fat Elvis.
Which is absolutely perfect.
There you go. Brad Towns, 300 hitter. If you notice, go all the way to the right. No stolen base attempts.
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. But look at that double, though.
Look at that double.
You played with Almond. You played with Almendares?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, whenever I got a start at TCU one time, and I got destroyed. And I think by the time I was pulled, we were down like 9 runs or something like that. I mean, I just got crushed. And Almendares came in and pitched for me. Yeah, I wasn't very good with the location.
Okay, just stay still for a minute because we need this. We're going to clip this and put it in your intro. There you go. You're always behind that damn microphone, and so this is much better. Thank you. We're just using this to make your video better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what's going to be next week.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to torch you.
Well, before we wrap it up, I want to thank Star Pizza. Where's the
Star Pizza?
Where is the?
What you looking for, buddy?
Boom. Join them for happy hour. Wine by the glass, $5 off wine by the bottle. Get you some garlic bread. I tell you what, that's the best in town. Absolutely phenomenal. You can also go and hit their buffet. You probably don't want to be in summertime and you want to get svelte. Don't overeat there. Have a salad. Mix in a salad. Like Jayme. Jayme loves the Caesar salad. Thanks to them. Section 12X. Go get geared up. Got to look fly. Rich, love you guys. Thank you for all your support. We really do appreciate it. Martin, final thought. Give us a preview of what's coming.
Tomorrow we will have like we mentioned earlier, story on Josiah Morgan, just about how the process went and a little bit of a scouting report on what fans can expect as far as on the field with him. Doing my best to talk to, like we mentioned, the Newton high school commit, KJ Porter. So I'll have to get back to him again. I had a rough week this week, so I'm trying to get back to it.
Absolutely.
Martin had a rough week. Trust me when I tell you.
I did my best to keep track of everything. Like I said on Twitter, Josiah Morgan upstaged my daughter's first dance recital, so I'll forgive him for that. But just trying to keep track of OVs because, like I said, I think that's the big thing to keep track of at this point. If a kid's got an official visit scheduled, it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion, but there's a good chance that Houston is in good standing with them. And we're less than a month away from those starting. Like I said, May 28th will be the first round of official visits, and several of those kids are already committed, but I imagine there's going to be several more added to the list after that.
Awesome. Martin,
the kids that are committed, and they come on the official visit, are they just working like as a staffer during those, or are they just enjoying?
No, they're enjoying. I mean,
Okay.
In my limited experience, we had kids committed that still did their official visit. You're still having to win the battle, December is signing day. Nothing is necessarily written in stone. So, you're still putting your best foot forward as a staff and a program. But if I would feel as good as you could feel about the kids that are committed, if I'm Houston at the moment, even guys like Raiden Cook, just for fans that are worried about that, I only hear good things about Houston when I talk to them. But if anything, they're helping to get kids committed. They're doing a little bit of both, like you said. They're being staffers, but they're enjoying their time. They're bringing their family, as many family members as they're allowed to enjoy the free trip, even if it's just a drive.
Okay. Awesome. Y'all keep your eye on Recruiting Plus here on GoCoogs.com. Like I said, he's doing a hell of a job. Really happy with all the work that you're putting together, and we really do appreciate what you're doing. Ryan, final thought.
I'm supposed to be on vacation this week. Mom got sick, had to push it back. Fortunately,
what's the plan
we're
for
going to
vacation?
get there. I'm going to Miami, which is totally not a me place to go. But I'm going to Miami for a little while, and then I'm going to go up north to Chicago for a little while.
Okay.
And then we'll be back doing this thing.
We're gonna have to get some thoughts on get some updates on the food scene, and that's your next update whenever you come back.
Yeah.
I expect a full report.
Yeah. It's just going to be steak.
Well, you got to go to Harry Carey's.
Oh, in Chicago, I've been. It's fine. Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Joseph.
Yo. Well, this photo is still there. Am I supposed to voice over some type of
why not?
narration?
It was almost to where it would show your mouth moving while your pictures.
Hey, this was literally we're all about the bass. I was a bass drummer at the time.
Oh, nice.
Part of the drum line.
Did you do that in high school?
Yeah, for a little while.
So, okay. I don't think I knew that.
I was going to try out for the Longhorn band, but it was the time requirements. Most of them are music majors. That wasn't going to be me. So, but anyway, big week for the Duartes. Wednesday, belt promotion for karate. Young Gavin will be a red belt. He's got to break a couple of boards. I'm about a couple of years from having a certified badass and
nice
Secret Service type of protection. Let's see. Remember, Sunday's Mother's Day. So for Linda and Mrs. Towns, for the deadbeat sons that they're probably not going to do anything for you, hit me up. I'll take care of you.
We're going all the way.
And tomorrow's Chronicle gets posted at 5 a.m. for some reason. But in tomorrow's Chronicle, we've known that Case Keenum is not eligible for the Hall of Fame, but we discuss why, and we actually have some news. Houston, for the first time, nominated him. They sent a letter. Willie Fritz sent a letter in a few weeks ago, formally nominating Case Keenum for the College Football Hall of Fame, but to no avail. He's not eligible. We'll tell you why in the paper and sort of give you a little insight on what's next, or if there's even a next, or if it's case closed on the matter.
Oh, boy.
See what I did there?
Wordplay. I like the wordplay.
And
There's a lot more of that.
You're gonna finally post that story about Diane that you did in February.
Yeah, sometimes things just take time, Ryan, and you got to have the moment. And the guy's now going to be on campus here pretty soon, so better get it out there when I still can.
Yeah,
the exclusive,
100%. For sure. Go get it, and you're welcome, Brad.
JD, I really appreciate you taking the time and spending the 2 hours with us, man. That's awesome. Like I said, you're my mom's favorite, so always
my mom's favorite too.
Always love to have you on there. Parents like you, fans like you. Finally,
not
giving you
finally
as much gruff.
I owe that to my image company. I guess I hired one and didn't know it.
That's right.
But hey,
we rehabilitated you. Yeah.
I love U of H fans. I have always
man of the
them.
people.
Man of the people. I'm not a Longhorn lover. Never have been. Don't own one item of burnt orange in my closet. I'm y'all's, man. 15 years later.
We got you. Love it or leave it.
I'm a Coug by marriage.
Exactly. And thank you.
Put that on my tombstone.
To every viewer who's stuck with us this whole time, we do appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time on Sunday nights to come and hang out with Talk Around Towns and the GoCoogs crew. For Ryan, JD, Martin, and me, thank you all. Y'all have a great night.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.